to order and then we can record now for everyone. So just really fast, I'm going to call to order the Rural Counties Environmental Services JPA meeting for Thursday, June 11th. And I will announce that we have some teleconference locations. Do I have to actually list them out, Stacy? Or they're in the agenda. Do you want me to say them out loud? I can. I should.
But we don't have them.
We don't have, oh, but we have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, then that's good enough for now. And we're recording so that we have this for a reference for everyone. And then, are you good to continue? There.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Good. Yeah, no problem. Okay, my third of four topics was.
Oh, wait, Larry wanted to do.
Oh, Larry,
exemptions.
sorry, yeah,
I
you had a
almost
question
forgot,
on
Larry.
exemptions.
No, and I want to make sure that, we've had a lot of good conversations, appreciated the time, and definitely want to pique people here to explain some of their programs, especially we've had a lot of discussion on the franchises, what they do and don't do, the infrastructure that they have. So I think it'd be helpful, so people could think about when I'm done to explain how your program works and what it would take to get you there to not claim the exemption. So 19 of the counties can claim exemptions, 18 are our members. I'm hopeful that there's finding a way to not claim that exemption that makes it worth their while. One of the examples we've used, I won't pick the county name, but even something as simple as buying a baler would facilitate a lot more recycling in that area. So can't guarantee they're going to take all the covered materials in there, but at least the materials that they can take, something that simple could facilitate them participating in the program and getting that equipment paid for. So if hopefully people can explain what it would take in their areas to do, and they can hear from you directly because we've already given our part to CAA on that. So I don't know if I'll look around the room at a few folks here or online, explaining what your program is and what it would take to get you there to participate in it.
Yeah. Anyone?
And that was my hope for that. My fourth point is if we have time to do an around the room and brief explanation of how you're currently managing materials, and then what does improvement look like in your community. If we have time to do that, that would be enormously helpful for me and Esther.
Yeah. Because Larry, what I'm getting out of what you're saying is, let's say a county takes the exemption, can they still participate to get funding to have some participation? I guess that's what I got out of your question, and Emily's saying yes.
I think the answer is yes. If you said all we can do is bale PET and cardboard or something, right? And you said, well, we're just going to take the rural exemption, so we don't have to worry about all this other stuff. And so we don't have to file an exemption for like this whole giant. There's two things you could do. You could say I'm in and I'm going to file an exemption for this whole giant list of materials and just leave, or you could just take the rural exemption. Either way, we want that PET, we want that cardboard. If you have a rural exemption, we absolutely would still be open to funding a baler for covered SB 54 covered materials.
So far, the computer's normal.
Great.
Could everyone on the webinar please make sure that you are muted? Thank you. We're hearing you, someone.
That's so funny. Okay, I think that's really helpful to hear from you. I don't know if anybody had that question, but Larry just made me go, wait a minute, whoa, are you so you don't have to be all in or all out. You're just trying to get stuff to take to the end market is your bottom line. And that's really helpful to hear. So, and then Ted does have something to add besides his computer's normal, or I don't know.
About that, yeah.
It's an adventure with you this morning, Ted.
Thank you so much for coming, Emily. Our situation is that I'm really relieved to hear that we can take the rural exemption and still participate in the program in a productive way. That's great news. I'm interested, for our case, we are feeding into a single MRF that's operated by a part of the franchise family, part of the Recology family that we have. But many different jurisdictions are feeding into that same one. So I anticipate a lot of the support that you're going to offer is essentially going to be helping that MRF recover more material. The harder challenge is going to be how to extract our tonnage from the materials going in to actually reducing the processing fee that we're paying to move our materials through that. So that's going to be kind of a challenging thing to make sure that everybody feels like it's being fairly administered. But that's what I anticipate. And so I wonder if you have any insight into how you're dealing with MRFs that are servicing multiple communities. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So a few things. We absolutely anticipate that most MRFs are serving multiple communities. In general, the sort of framework of SB 54 and the reimbursement program sort of established in there is that costs are new and additional, which I think, but so when you say like okay, if we say we go to this Recology MRF and we say, well, you're only taking this much right now, and we need you to be able to take this much more, or we want you to the quality of it to increase or something to change from where it's at today. In general, that MRF Recology would say, okay, well, we need X, Y, and Z additional equipment, and maybe we have some operating expenses associated with that is above and beyond what we're doing today. And that is what we would fund. So there's generally not like a reduction in cost to your current, because it's like you're doing something new and additional on top of what you're doing today. And the idea is your rates don't go up, right? Like things that would normally require some sort of, there's more cost of doing this, so your rates might go up. The rates can't go up. That's what SB 54 is very clear on. The franchise agreements are not impacted. But if we're saying, hey, we'll fund you, MRF, to do more and better, those are the MRF costs for processing that. Your costs at the county would be, I don't know if there's collection or what's going on there. I think I do know, actually, because you mentioned, but to whatever extent that the county incurs costs getting those materials to the door of the MRF, those are the costs that we would cover for the county. So that's discrete to the county. But then what's happening at the MRF is funding that flows through actually to Recology for new and additional costs. You're on mute, Ted.
Yeah, I appreciate the answer. I do also want to emphasize the intent of this was to make local governments whole, and we have been fronting the costs for these recycling programs, to date. And while I appreciate how your group is stepping up, I think just keeping the rate increases from going forward is not quite enough. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, and that'll be like, I'm sure you will anyways, Ted, but I think that'll be really helpful for you to participate in the public comment process and spell that out in your comments. Because I think at some point it's going to probably, those kinds of conversations may get down to like regulatory interpretation with CalRecycle, that kind of thing. And so, we've looked at statute regs one way, and if we get a whole bunch of comments saying you read this wrong, this is not how this is, it should be this, then that gives an opening for CalRecycle to weigh in, for their lawyers to say how it should be. Thing. Anything else on exemptions?
Very good.
Great. Okay, so to Larry's point, we need to learn more about what is happening out there in the world. Some of you all, or all of you all, probably received a survey last year from HF&H as part of the statewide needs assessment that asked for a whole bunch of questions, a bunch of information. Very unfortunately, the way that these things work is that information is not available to CAA. So they did use it to report in aggregate in the needs assessment, but unfortunately, CAA really needs disaggregated information to understand what's happening in each and every community out there. So I kind of ran this to ground over the last 2 weeks, being like, is there any way on earth I could possibly find out what people said? And the answer is no. So, this is, I think, a frustrating experience for jurisdictions that the state asked for a whole lot of information last year, and they've hired us to implement the program, and now we have to ask for a whole lot of information. But we do really need to know what's happening out there in these various programs. So we're doing this big survey undertaking right now. We're already going out to all the MRFs. So we literally have boots on the ground visiting every single MRF at the state, saying like, what's your current equipment? What's your current capacity? What's your current throughput? Like, how could you expand it, and doing all that. So that's really helpful for us. We're doing the same thing with the end markets, looking and seeing like what they're processing now, what their capacity is. So we're really trying to build a detailed landscape of the state in terms of, where the materials can flow. If we have more materials, where can they go? All of that. We're also talking to organics processors and some of these alternative collection providers out there. I really hesitate to do this, but we are going to go out to all of the jurisdictions as well and ask for a bunch of information, just because we need to know, like, what are you doing? Like, there's a lot of publicly available information, which we're definitely leveraging. But we need to say, like, well, have you incurred costs related to SB 54 so that we can put those in our budget? Like, what do you think you might do so that we can put those in our budget? Because the way that like EPR works, and I may be telling you something you already know, I'm certainly telling Doug something he already knows, is that it's not like the bottle bill where it's like X cents per can and that's it. Like, and that's the budget. The budget is meant to be whatever it's going to take to achieve these goals. And so it's incumbent upon CAA to figure out what is it going to take to achieve these goals, and then set the fees that we charge the producers so that it all adds up to what it takes. And so we really need to know what to charge the producers in order to have the money to flow it back out to you all. And so in order to do that, we have to ask the questions, well, what's going on and what's happening out there? So you all will be receiving a survey either Friday or probably Monday. And it's open for about a month, and you won't love it, but we will say, like, there's a subset of questions that if you have time to answer just those, that will also be incredibly helpful. There will be an opportunity to schedule a meeting. If you want to, we're calling it office hours. Most likely the lovely Esther will be there, or another colleague, to answer questions if you kind of want to just do some informal information sharing there. But I would love to leave this room today with a couple of things. We definitely would love contact info. I think we'd ask you, Stacy, if you have a contact list so that we can annoy now that you know why we want it, you might be like, no, you can't have it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to transmit that to you, but we do have a list.
Okay. So that would be great, because we haven't been stalking all of the rural counties for contact information, because we figured we could get it from you. I'd love to, I have kind of two questions. One's an easy one, and then one is the around the room. The easy one is the ESJPA members and the RCRC members, are they the counties or are they the authorities? So like Amador, like is it just Amador unincorporated that's a member, or is it the authority that's all of the jurisdictions within Amador County?
It's Amador, it's Amador, the county.
Okay,
But we represent the other jurisdictions.
you do.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would answer for Jackson and
Well,
Sutter.
no, I wouldn't answer for them, but, I'd have to have input from them.
Okay.
But we have one MRF,
Yeah.
services multiple jurisdictions. We've just run into an issue because we had one franchisee, and that was ACES, and they sold out to waste management
Yeah.
and or Republic. And now Republic, one of their contracts in one of the jurisdictions came up, and they switched out. They wanted to double the rates. And so a different franchisee took over that jurisdiction. And I'm counting on money coming from all the jurisdictions, not thinking, because it was all serviced by one company and everything ran through our one MRF. The new franchisee for the jurisdiction is now taking that waste out of county.
Yeah.
So it's not flowing through our MRF anymore. Now they're going through a different MRF.
Yeah. Okay.
Sac County, Kiefer. So So that's created a different problem for us because I did some work on a closed landfill and I got funding coming and that money comes in from all of everything that was being processed and now chunks come out.
Yeah.
But so there's 6 contracts in the county because there's 5 cities in the county. And we have our regional agency, basically not a lot of participation there. Essentially, the county speaks for most people when it comes to the regional agency.
Yeah.
But we do have to get input back and forth, obviously, and we have to get buy off from city councils and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a hybrid. It's not as easy as you make it sound.
I want it to be easy.
Yeah.
I
We would
also
like
think
to
that
be
you'll
too.
find each county in each area may work a little differently too,
Yeah.
depending on how many cities are.
Okay.
We have a couple of counties that don't have any incorporated cities.
Yeah.
And some work under a joint powers authority type situation. I know that Solano County, you have a joint powers authority, no, but you have a partnership with your cities. Tehama, I believe, has a joint powers authority. I believe Del Norte, you guys are a joint powers authority, right, Ted? Yeah. So each county
Everybody's
works a little
different. Yeah.
differently
Okay.
in how they coordinate.
Well, let me add that to my list of questions. Then.
Yeah.
If we have time, if you all wouldn't mind a quick around the room of like, what's your name and your county, and then how are you like? This survey is largely around collection. Like I said, we're separately surveying the MRFs, and we're getting good situation. But like, do you have curbside? Do you have drop off? Do you have both? And then what's the jurisdiction JPA authority situation? And then really the big question is like, what does the future look like of more collection? Is that okay? Do we have time? Stacy, is that okay?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
We allotted quite a bit of time for you
Okay.
today.
The opportunity to find out that. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Um,
would be huge for us. So
and part of that is we have explained and to let everybody else know that some of you have mandatory franchises, some are optional franchises, some of you have just open market, some are no market whatsoever. It's everybody just does drop off at a local transfer station. So how you do collection from something like that is going to be an intriguing aspect to this too. So
yeah, and just drop off is certainly an option, right? Like we're not trying to impose curbside collection on anybody. Like if you're like, yeah, we got drop off, it's working, nothing more could be done, that's fine. If you're like, yeah, we got drop off, it's work. But if we had 5 more drop off locations, it'd be more convenient, or that kind of thing.
or even some sort of alternative collection, which is kind of an intriguing one to look at. So
Yeah, absolutely.
And now's the time to explain what goes on.
Anybody want to go first? Paul.
Yeah, Paul Freund with Tehama County Solid Waste Management Agency. We're a joint powers authority. We represent all of the jurisdictions, 4 jurisdictions in Tehama County. The jurisdictions control the franchise agreements. The JPA does not. We do advise on that. So we have 2 waste haulers, Waste Connections and WM. WM for 1 jurisdiction, Waste Connections for 2 other separate contracts with 2 other jurisdictions. And then the 4th jurisdiction is so small, they just opt into the county. Tehama, it's about 400 people, and they're an incorporated city. No one business, but the unincorporated is non-mandatory collection. But through a franchise agreement. So we do have a lot of self-haul customers. We have a landfill and a MRF and a household hazardous waste facility. Let's see, what was the other question?
So you said the unincorporated is non-mandatory. What about
Yes.
the other?
So yeah, the
jurisdiction?
two other cities are mandatory. Well, the 3 other cities, they're all mandatory.
They're mandatory.
Yeah.
Curbside.
Exactly. There are some areas in the unincorporated, some gated communities that are mandatory
Yeah.
because of their CCNRs.
Okay.
And then there's one community that doesn't have any collection and relies solely on their transfer station for their gated community. And we
Okay.
have 2 transfer stations in the unincorporated available to anybody that signs up for that service. So if you have service with Waste Connections, you can use the transfer station at a reduced rate. If you don't have service, then it's a higher rate.
Gotcha.
And then, like I said, yeah, WM hauls to Sacramento. The other material in the county goes to our MRF.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your drop off is mainly those 2 transfer stations.
First, the three.
The
So we have the gated community private transfer station.
They have their own. Okay.
And then we have 2 public transfer stations that are operated by the franchise hauler.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have our self-haul customers at the landfill as well.
Yeah.
So that would be our 4th drop off.
But some of those small transfer stations are just like a debris box in other.
Yeah, they are pretty small transfers. The only one that has to report an RDRS is the private one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other are too small.
And what does the future look like for Tehama if you had more funding to collect?
Sure. Yeah, we do have, I think, pretty robust programs already.
Okay.
So that could help with just making sure that it's cleaner commodities coming in, the education with the customers. Right now, my employees are actually out doing a waste audit, flipping lids in a community to try to improve the amount of recycling coming in and finding where there's other opportunities there. Shipping out is one of those things that usually is delayed because of the amount of materials or the lack of materials they may have. So they require probably 2 to 3 truckloads of a material before they can actually schedule the trucks to come out there. So a lot of times they're sitting on materials. Several years ago, it got to the point where it was getting to be a fire danger, and we had to request our board. Yeah, we had so much plastic, and we weren't able to market it. So we requested our board allow landfilling of it. We never had to get to that point, but it was getting out of control where they weren't able to find end markets. And so that's where I think a lot of the benefits of not doing the exemption, because we are one of the 19 rural exempt for SB 1383 counties. We're about 65,000 people. So the main incentive for not doing the exemption, I think, would be to get more assistance in shipping material out, as well as the education and outreach assistance. Being a small agency, the waste haulers each employ one individual for like a recycling coordinator or a sustainability coordinator, and then our agency of 3 people
Yeah.
to do the whole county. So
it sounds like in many ways you all operate a little bit more like some of the more suburban cities out there. Like you're rural and you're small, but you're not wildly different than some of the.
definitely along the I-5 corridor where we are,
Yeah.
but you get up into the mountain areas on either side.
Yeah.
And that's where you have more typical of the more rural areas around
Right.
here.
And that would be that unincorporated area that's.
Exactly. All our,
non-majority.
yeah.
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 Okay, great.
Thanks.
That's super helpful. Thank you. Yeah, and I should have mentioned, thank you for bringing up the education outreach and the contamination monitoring, because that's a very big part of, what we'll be doing for folks that do already have, well-established programs.
Speaking of education, also the schools. So in rural areas, those tend to be the larger waste producers, individual compared to the residents in that area. And I know it's not on the cover materials. Initially, I think it was proposed, the gable top milk cartons, which we're not able to recover just because of the quantity. We don't have that quantity for like the carton council funding.
Yeah.
So yeah, those things.
Yeah,
aren't
that
recoverable, but-
even though they're not on the list of required, they are on our list of materials we are trying to level up. And so we absolutely would be funding cartons.
Awesome. Yeah, because that's something that would help when we do cafeteria waste sorting
Yeah.
activities, because it's the majority of the recyclable material coming out of the cafeteria.
Yep, that makes sense. And I should have mentioned, and I didn't because there's too much to talk about. Food serviceware is part of SB 54. So it's packaging and food serviceware. And we have a whole other initiative I didn't even mention, but it's just as big, honestly, as the whole reimbursements for collection, is around converting schools, venues, stadiums, hospitals, amusement parks, everything to reusable food serviceware. So we have a colleague who that's his entire job, and he's building out a whole team to do that. And we'll be hiring someone soon just to work with schools and a whole team just to work with schools. So really keen to get all of the single-use packaging or single-use food serviceware out of school cafeterias and get them onto reusable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would that allow for funding for staff?
Yes.
Perfect, because
Yes.
that's one of the inhibiting factors. The state in the past has provided funding for the dishwasher
Yes.
unit, but not the individual. And that's where I've heard from the schools that they would love to implement those things. They just don't have the staff to actually
Yeah.
wash all of that.
Yeah, so we actually got Chris Slafter is our colleague who's running reuse, and he got the list of the 343 schools that receive dishwashers from the state. And now he's contacting them all and being like, so you have a dishwasher. Do you want some money to use it? Do you need some dishes? Do you need some people? So yeah, absolutely. It's CapEx and OpEx for this stuff. And in a more urban environment, sometimes they might use a wash hub. So they might not have room to put in a dishwasher. They might not want to. So there's these wash hub services. Truck comes around, dirty dishes, come back when clean dishes. But it's easier in some ways to do it on site, and certainly when you get into a more rural area. So we're looking at both models and kind of whatever works for you kind of thing. So yeah, anybody who's got a dishwasher and wants to use it and doesn't have the money to use it, that's such an easy one for us. So yeah.
Larry wanted to interject
yeah.
something here.
Another institution probably to add to your long list is the fairgrounds. County fairs are big in the rural areas, and a big contributor to the waste stream. And many of them are actually state agencies. So we have no control over them. They don't have to participate in the programs, yet we're supposed to report to them on our electronic annual reports, and many of them are not compliant. And so it's a big source of food waste. It's a big force of, I mean, they serve a lot of food, so there's all the dinnerware and everything else that goes along with it. Even getting them to recycle bottles and cans has been a struggle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
I'll add it to his list.
Yeah, generally fairgrounds are less motivated than the people you're talking around the table to today.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They are required to report to the state on what they do, but
Yeah.
it's limited.
Okay.
Great. Who else?
Anyone else want to?
Want to chime in, Sean, Narcissa?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, Sean, I'm the solid waste program manager up at Plumas County. I work under Public Works, but in Plumas County, there's the unincorporated, there's the unincorporated part of the county, which is basically what I administer, and that is two separate franchisees. There's Waste Management in basically the western part of the county, and then a local hauler called Intermountain Disposal in the eastern part. There is also a community services district that has its own separate franchise contract with Waste Management. Although we may move towards like some sort of joint powers authority situation, because like I already sort of informally help them with a lot of their reporting on SB 1383 and other things. So we're looking to sort of formalize that. And then similarly, recently, another community service district basically let its contract sunset with Waste Management. And so that was incorporated back into the county because they just didn't want to deal with it. There is also an incorporated city that in the eastern part of the county that has its own franchise contract with Intermountain Disposal. So that's the city of Portola. And they operate almost entirely autonomously. I don't communicate much with them.
And then, so it's mostly collection, like curbside collection in Plumas.
Yeah. So within the city of Portola, there is curbside recycling. So there's mandatory commercial recycling for commercial customers, but then there is also curbside recycling for residents. And the way that works is it's sort of just built into their rate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get the bin, and if you don't want to use it, I guess you don't have to, but you get it. That is also the case in the the public utility district that is still nominally has its own contract. They same deal. They have curbside recycling, and then within the unincorporated part of the county, the contract that I administer in the county seat, Quincy, we modified the contract such that there's sort of a boundary around the town, and there's also residential curbside recycling. And on paper, there is mandatory commercial recycling throughout the county, regardless of the jurisdiction.
On paper, but not in reality. Is that?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
true very many
I think
places.
some of it is just we've had difficulty with sort of like smaller businesses. You know, they say like, oh, we self-haul, and it's like, okay, well, our means of like actually checking up on that and you know, that becomes kind of impossible.
Yeah. And then outside of the town of Quincy, is that a drop-off situation for people in unincorporated or?
No, so like I said, so there's only one incorporated cities, that's Portola.
Right.
The rest of the county is just Plumas County unincorporated.
Yeah.
Basically everyone is eligible for curbside trash pickup.
Okay.
Other than a few odd, I mean, I wouldn't really call them towns, more like neighborhoods that are sort of far enough out of the way, or like up dirt roads and stuff like that, that don't have curbside trash. But other than that, everyone in the county is eligible to be on a curbside waste route.
Yeah.
And then in, like I said, in the town of Quincy, the city of Portola, and then one of the utility districts, which is up in a town called Chester in the western part of the county, all have curbside recycling.
So do you think it would be like, just curious, would it be viable if let's say we're trying to get all the we are trying to get all the recyclables out of that unincorporated area. If we said, well, if you have curbside garbage pickup, we can add recycling for free. Like, is that something, pay waste management to pick up the recycling too?
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend on like where that like money is coming from, right?
If it came from CAA, from SB 54.
Yeah. Then you know, if it wasn't basically, because right now we have like a franchise fee situation that runs the solid waste department, and so it's always sort of trying to thread the needle between expanding services as much as we can, because I know folks are eager for it, while keeping those rates low. But yeah, if there was money coming from the state, then yes, I absolutely would push hard for curbside recycling, and I know a lot of folks like it.
Yeah.
All this with the caveat is if folks don't want any sort of service at all, they can self-haul to transfer stations.
Okay.
And there's several of those in the county.
Yeah. And is your capacity there good? Like, do you need, for those who choose not to have the service in the first place and are self-hauling?
Yeah.
Like, is there an opportunity to have more, drop off sites?
Capacity's fine.
It's fine.
None of the transfer stations
Convenience is fine.
are really overloaded in any way.
Okay. So the real, sounds like the real opportunity in Plumas is to fund the curbside recycling service to be paired with the curbside garbage service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And that's what we're doing in Oregon, in a lot of the rural communities in Oregon, because they've got this similar law. There's a lot of places that just, had curbside garbage. And so CAA is fully funding the addition of the curbside recycling into the mix. So,
okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, and then just real quick, we do have a hand up online from Esmeralda at Cal Recycle. I don't know, Esmeralda, did you have something to add to this conversation? see.
You should be able to unmute and talk now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, yes. So my name's Esmeralda Alvarado. I'm with local assistance at Cal Recycle. I assist Tehama, Mono, and Inyo County, all with ESJPA. And I was wondering if the funding will also help support education and outreach. Once new material is added to the waste streams, I would think that a lot of the jurisdictions would want to provide new materials such as signage for what can and can't be placed in recycling bins. So is that something that is being considered?
Yeah, absolutely. Education and outreach is a big part of what we will be funding. So yeah, every aspect of education and outreach, really contamination monitoring, all of that is a really big part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. Thank you all for your presentation.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Did you want to add, Narcissa? Yeah.
I know Emily's somewhat familiar with Solano County. So if for this time, whether online or in the room, if other jurisdictions would like to go before me, I welcome that.
Yeah, I was looking to see if anybody had online hands up and I don't see anyone. Just checking. Does anyone else want to share while we have Emily here then? To your point, I appreciate that thoughtfulness, Narcissa.
I think
So you're
Narcissa
kind-
should go because there's real value in having the most populous rural counties.
Mhm.
Let Emily know what's going on. If you feel like Emily knows and you're just sharing it to the rest of the room, then that's something else. Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy to share, brag a bit about our county.
There you go.
So, yeah. So Solano County is made up of 8 jurisdictions. We have a population total of about 450,000. It is represented by 7 incorporated cities. The unincorporated area makes up about 20,000 of the total of the 450,000 population. We also have our endearing Travis Air Force Base that we consider another jurisdiction and treat as a separate jurisdiction. We do not have or function as a JPA. Each of the individual jurisdictions negotiate their waste hauling contract, but consistently throughout the jurisdictions, we all have curbside service, the three container system with all the correct cart colors already. We do have drop-offs available throughout the county. We have 5 different haulers who provide service amongst the 8 jurisdictions. We have 2 privately owned and managed landfills that are located in the unincorporated and serve the majority of the jurisdictions in Solano County. We also have 1 technically a transfer station by permit, but does not fully function as such. It's truly just to manage and collect the organic waste for the city of Vallejo. And we have a number of beverage container recycling collection centers that are still open. And I would say that for me, I oversee the garbage contracts for the unincorporated area only. But my jurisdictions, we voluntarily meet every other month to cross-coordinate education and outreach to, provide updates about legislation, to talk about impacts, and how all of that contributes to what we're now into is a regular update of our countywide integrated waste management plan. Our goal here is in the next 3 years that we will have an annual update to each of those elements so that it is a living document that reflects the makeup of the waste management services throughout the county, jurisdiction by jurisdiction. We'll have a summary of that online within the next year. And we are also working with our GIS team to have a waste management tracker that makes available to the general public to learn from curb to cradle to grave to follow their trash, recyclables, and organics. And hopefully we're able to build into that to show exactly what the GHG emissions are as well, based on the various vehicle types that are being used for the different commodities today. And finally, I think to your question that you were asking about what is it we would like to spend money on if we had it, I would say first and foremost, as it relates to the unincorporated, is setting up collection events, special collection events on a much more frequent basis. We do have exemptions for self-haul, but I will say that we have the majority of the unincorporated population subscribing to services. And I think our biggest issue is twofold. One, we require for the unincorporated subscribers to bring all 3 containers to the public right of way. And for some, that could be a mile, 3 miles from where their actual, they don't have curb and gutter, but but from their front door to the actual right of way. So I'm looking to be able to provide some ease in being able to increase participation by having some mechanism to better assist getting those containers that they have to drag 1 to 5 miles from their actual residence down to the public right of way. I'm also looking at, is there a way of how we can perhaps even reduce the number of carts at the public right of way? Because imagine on pickup day, you've got 3 carts per household. That lines it up. And again, we're talking no curb and gutter. So having collection events, I think, would help to increase collection of the various materials. I think more specifically to reduce their garbage container size. So then it won't be as much of a burden to haul down a 95, 96 gallon cart. Potentially they could bring that down to the 35 gallon cart, save some money, and help us all out in getting those materials more properly separated.
What sort of materials do you envision at the special collection events?
I would say those hard to reach, the film, the plastic,
hard to recycle.
styrofoam, yeah.
Okay.
Things that are
Yeah.
bulky, that are just, and really, they don't have a place in either one of the carts, in either one of the, other than the trash.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely interested in those materials. Absolutely. That's really interesting. I hadn't heard about that sort of conundrum before of like it's far to go. For their regular old recyclables, like I guess we're really primarily interested in the blue bin. So if we like set up a more convenient drop off for that stuff, it doesn't really solve their problem because they still have their other 2 bins. So yeah. Okay, interesting. Thank you so much.
You want to go on there? Yeah.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I'm from Mono County. And thank you to Esmeralda for all the work that you do with us. I've heard a lot of similarities here. Mono County is just over 13,000 people with 1 incorporated town. That's the town of Mammoth Lakes that has half the population of the county. We're over 3,000 square miles. It's a long County along the Nevada border. And the town of Mammoth Lakes is at the central part of it. It's 4 square miles. We are surrounded by public lands. We're 94% public lands. And we have a transfer station within the town of Mammoth Lakes, a transfer station at our regarding recycles and things at our now transfer station, which only is landfill for construction waste. We did have a full landfill that closed in 2001, I believe was official there. So it serviced the self-haulers from all over the county, and is in the location now of the transfer station does not serve well the rest of the county because it is too far away from those that are using. It's a 2-hour round trip drive, which is very expensive from the south part of it. Any of our solid waste recycles is sent to Nevada. So there is a challenge of getting the materials ready to go there. And we've had some success with balers and things that are along the line. So all of it's transferred out, and we do have collection bins that are throughout the town of Mammoth Lakes itself and throughout the county that we maintain. So, and we have curbside collection available for an extra fee for those that want to have their solid waste and recycles picked up. It is prevalent only in the middle to north part of the county because of the concentration of the area. And I think what's really another thing that's unique there, we obviously, not obviously to some, but organic composting doesn't work, unfortunately, in my area. I'd love to have it because of the altitude where most of this area sits in the northern part, and the slow, the short period of time that it's warm enough to do that. So without mechanical assistance, it doesn't work, except in the south part of the county where we do have a lot of agriculture and a lot of cattle and horse product. That is now a challenge in what to do with it, because those people that have to deal with that will have to take it 2 hours away back and forth. And that's in the summer only because that road's closed in the winter. Also, the other unique part of it is because we are tourism based and near Yosemite, and public lands have how they deal with their waste and recycles is you pack it in and pack it out. And so they have a limited amount of areas to dispose of everything or recycle. But that also means that they pack it in and pack it out to us. So what you'll see is during heavy times of visitation, which is year round, if you're a ski resort in the winter, that's what we are, you have heavy visitation. So we have 2.5 million visitors every year for a county that has only 13,000 people that live there to take care of them. So the numbers that are deceiving as far as what the demand is, because then it just fluctuates and it's huge there. So the question is, what do you need? Is with the 2 waste haulers that we have now, and they are collection haulers, it is whatever assistance is just not enough to keep up with demand, that I can either pay for it at my home in the unincorporated area for recycling, which I don't have enough of, or I can go around the corner to the bin at the community center and things. So we've made it easy, but they're always full. So subsidies to keep it going. And when I say always full, and that's always full in the time of slower visitation. So, and all of this is the costs are keep going up because it's going to Nevada. And that's our only hope there. So guys have been great working with us and keeping things moving, but it just is it going to be an escalating problem, and assistance for those. It was really good to hear assistance for the counties that have some restrictions. There's some things we'd like to participate in and get a handle on it is really good to hear.
Yeah, that's great. And I appreciate, I live in Truckee, so I
Oh.
appreciate your
I'm telling you nothing you don't know.
your
already.
altitude and
Yeah.
your resort town
My
challenges.
tomatoes are
for
still in the
sure.
house
Yeah.
right now. They're not
I
going out until the
can't grow
snow's off the
a
ones.
tomato.
So,
But yeah, no, that's super interesting. Thank you for sharing. And it does sound like there's a lot of opportunity there. And we didn't talk about border counties, and I said I would, and I skipped.
Oh, yeah.
Accidentally skipped over it.
And I wanted to do a time check for you too, Emily. How are you doing with?
Oh yeah, I am supposed to go.
Yeah, that's why I thought I
I
just
go to that
I
meeting.
want to
This
be
is more
mindful.
interesting.
Right.
All right. Well, I might have to go. I don't know, Esther, if you Esther could maybe stay and finish up with others if that's
Okay.
works.
Okay. Yeah, we'll check in with everyone.
Real
but-
quickly on border counties, like, but if your waste is going to Nevada, that's okay. Like we still, so ultimately what we're concerned about is responsible end markets, right? And they're not all going to be in California. So we know a lot of waste is going out of the state. I think probably what I don't know is, to what extent are we going to fund MRFs outside of California if they're mostly handling California materials? A lot of cases, what we're doing is we might have to do it proportional, but I don't know how that works. I mean, we're not really going out and assessing all those border MRFs. We're not looking at everything in Reno and, Carson City, and I don't know where your stuff's going. So I think that's a little bit of something that we haven't contemplated too much, but fundamentally, it's not like, oh, if your material goes out of California, you're out. That's not it. It's more just the logistics of how do we fund if it's a MRF that's getting 90% of its materials from Nevada and 10% from California. Are we going to fund 100% of what they're doing? Probably not. So that gets a little tricky. Up north, if it's going to Oregon, it makes it a little easier for us because we're also funding things in Oregon. I'm not holding my breath for Nevada to pass a packaging EPR law, but yeah, but it's not like a non-starter for us. I think that's what I would say is it's probably on a case by case basis, kind of how we fund materials that are going out of state, but a lot of stuff is ultimately ending up out of state. And so that is definitely okay. And we acknowledge that situation, and it's not like, oh, you're out.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you do your surveys, you're going to go to all the jurisdictions and resurvey everyone. Is this the kind of stuff that you're going to be asking basically again from everyone, or?
Yeah, I mean, not so we don't have anything about the out of state stuff. I can tell you, where is this? By and large, we have some questions about access. So that's really relevant here, right? Like does everybody have access? Participation, we're really interested in. Our modeling team is really curious to know if people are tracking their participation, how like what sort of participation levels do they have? So we kind of know where the gap is, the potential gap to fill. Getting clarity on material acceptance. We kind of know that, but we just kind of want to confirm what we know. They're definitely looking for information about transfer stations and drop off, just kind of getting the lay of the land out there. Like we can see what's in RDRS, but we can't, you can see permitted capacity, but you don't know what's actually really flowing through there, where there's additional capacity, where there's more footprint, like that kind of thing. Contamination monitoring, education outreach, public space recycling, probably more relevant in a more urban environment, but is there an opportunity to capture more in public spaces? And then we are asking people about reuse and refill, basically what their thoughts are. Like we would, want to know like, hey, yes, we have some schools that would love some funding if they could have the people to run the dishwashers, like that kind of information, just have that start coming in as well. So
Okay.
that's the sort of scope of what we're asking about, is really kind of like, what's the lay of the land and where is there opportunity for us to invest to stand it up more?
No, that'll be really good information for you to have. And then Ted, I'm guessing is trying to catch you before you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be a little late to okay.
Thank you so much. Just a couple things several things that were not raised in the discussion that I want to make sure that you're aware of. So in our county, we have both drop-off bins, multi-material drop-off bins, and street-side paired containers serving our tourist community. The challenge with these are they're with a non-mandatory collection. They're regularly dumping targets, and so contamination tends to run high. And outreach and education is an ongoing challenge, especially considering many of the people coming through are tourists. One thing that hasn't been mentioned, I think, is really worth considering in a more aggressive form, which is a lot of the covered material categories are coming through and sold by convenience stores. I've not heard any discussion of expanding collection at convenience stores, and especially as people are running down the highways and buying those things and then going to the next convenience store. Seems to me that they have a role to play in terms of moving this program forward. And then finally, with regards to supporting reuse, I think a very easy thing to do is to find ways to support discounts for people who bring back their own cups or bring back their own materials. If you can find a way to support those discounts, you get the credit for doing that without necessarily providing the equipment to do so. Thank you.
Very concise. Thank you, Ted. That's nice.
And quickly, I'll just two things, Ted. One is on the convenience stores. One of the things we are looking at, we have a question in our survey, is whether folks are tracking, monitoring, enforcing AB 827, which is the, customer facing containers and businesses. I think it is technically a law, but not one that is enthusiastically implemented, is my understanding. And Doug, you're nodding. That's your understanding too. So is there an opportunity for us to do more of the technical assistance, maybe we provide the bins, like provide the signage, like say, hey, here, for all of these, convenience stores and many, many other businesses where there's not currently good public facing stuff. So that's certainly in the mix. And on reuse, yeah, absolutely, Ted. I think that is the programs you're talking about are ones that we're interested in those and like talking to them and seeing like, can we track like how well they're doing with that? And there's, I think you're probably aware of the Petaluma Cup project and other things like that certainly have a lot of possibilities. But there is this sort of bring your own container. It's not something that we've so far thought of something that we can massively scale because it really requires on consumer adoption and it's an open loop system. So we're a little bit more focused when it comes to reuse on these closed loop systems where people don't have a choice. Because then you'll get a lot higher adoption. But to whatever extent we can support those kinds of things as well, we're certainly very interested in those. Yeah.
Okay. And then in the chat, Heidi added also like at the fueling stations too, having bins there when people are cleaning out their cars, kind of along the same lines. So that totally with the convenience stores and
That's
stuff.
like the
that makes sense.
827 to make sure the gas stations have those.
And make it clear, don't put, the reason, I don't know, as a consumer, I'm looking at it as a consumer. That's why I love SB 54 as a consumer. I want it to be easy for me to recycle. It has to be easy.
Yeah, people won't do it if it's not.
Yeah. And I know people in my county that I hear online, at least, they intentionally contaminate things because they don't believe in it. So somehow we're going to have to overcome that also. It's out there and it's real. So I don't want to take up more of your time because I know you have to get to something else, but if everybody, thank you, Emily, for coming today, and please be regular, come here. This group is so engaged and I think is an easy resource for you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And if you all please do continue, this is great. Esther's going to stay and Esther lives in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Esther can be a real regular
Yeah.
here.
And
would
honestly,
be
Esther, we have
fantastic.
some business to do to
Okay.
take care of. So I think if everybody's good, we could move on with our agenda if you're okay with that.
Well,
Appreciate you being here though. Don't want you to feel like, oh, you're out of here. But we do have our quorum now, so we can take care of some business. But thank you both for being here. Appreciate
Yeah, well,
it.
thank you for letting
Thank
us steal
you.
so much of your time, and we'll be following up with those that we haven't heard from and bugging you for more information.
Very good. All right. Thank you so much. I
Very
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
So for the,
Is your mic on?
sorry,
Yeah.
question for Stacy, for the points of contacts that Emily was requesting from the our other jurisdictions, if we're not JPA,
Mhm.
can we, if we have it, can we just send that over to you?
Yes,
For each of my
absolutely.
jurisdictions, and then it's a
Yep,
more
absolutely.
completed
And I'll
list?
compile it, or Julie will compile it, or
Okay.
one of us, Travis will, one of us will compile it, and we can send it over.
Perfect, thank
Yep.
you.
All right. Now I gotta get my business brain back on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Do I need to announce those telecommunication?
No, because we'll do the roll call for the vote.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, then let's go on to item number 2, our business matters, approval of the minutes from March 26, 2026. Does anybody have a chance to look at them? They look good to me. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah,
or
I
have
just,
questions or
one quick
comments?
note is that the minutes do need to be modified. I missed Diane,
Oh,
who was at the last meeting. So we do need to update the minutes as part of the motion
okay,
to reflect that Diane Rader from Trinity County was
was in attendance.
was in attendance. Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Does anyone want to move that with that addition? Moved.
So moved.
Second? Ted, you're our second, Narcissa's our mover. How's that? And then, oh, we do have to do a roll call vote because we have people online.
Correct. And Julie is
And-
getting that ready right
Yeah.
now.
We're doing our new Granicus voting system, I think. So give us a second here.
Wait, I'm gonna share.
Mhm. It takes a second. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Very good.
All right, go to vote.
All right. Alpine County,
Julie, can you make Del Norte the seconder? Is that?
oh, was it?
It was
Del
Del
Norte?
Norte, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
you
Ted.
can. This is nice. We can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
How do I go back?
Do you want to fix it later?
Go back to the motion. Got it, got it. Which one? Oh, Del Norte.
Yeah.
Hey, record. Oh, I didn't second. Well, no, they're both there. Recorded. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right.
New technology. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This again. Alpine County. Amador County,
Yes.
Butte County. Calaveras County. Colusa County. Del Norte County,
Yes.
El Dorado County,
Aye.
Glenn County. Imperial County. Inyo County,
Yes.
Kings County. Lake County. Lassen County. Madera County. Mariposa County. Modoc County. Mono County.
Yes.
Nevada County. Plumas County.
Yes.
Shasta County.
Yes.
Sierra County. Siskiyou County. Solano County.
Hi.
Tehama County,
Yes.
Trinity County,
Yes.
and Tuolumne County. And the motion passed.
All right, very good. Thank you for that. And our other item of business is, our ESJPA business action plan or business plan action on that.
Yeah, so I worked with Chris Egan, who's here in the room and part of our amazing comms team, to make, at the last meeting, y'all might remember that we had some suggested clarifications, just a few things to update the business plan. Those are reflected that in the draft that is in the packet. And Chris, would you like to just take a few minutes and talk about kind of where we went through and updated a few things?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So first off, big thank you to both Ted and Lori for being part of this kind of small committee of refining the business plan to something that you guys can make more actionable and make better use of over the next 3 years. But kind of as we were going through, again, more specificity is what we were looking for, or what was requested. So as we go down, we added a metric that looked under organizational health. We added a metric that looked at the number of staff trained at a certain level to kind of make sure that we're adding that staff capacity. We revised under engaged membership. We revised the objective and at the first objective, I believe, and added through targeted research and outreach through the technical advisory group. And that's specifically around the training. Yes. So for under the fourth strategy, we expanded. It now reads expand technical trainings and assistance programs to address member needs. Yada yada yada. And that just added more specificity around that item. Under the number of trainings conducted, it's conducted under the technical advisory group. We added a metric around we added a goal around or a strategy around the number of new delegates or alternates that are orientated to the program, number of orientations done for new members, and then under increased visibility, under the third metric, we looked at facilitating visits to member counties and added the item of non-member counties. Under the fourth strategy, we added that, which reads promote and market all ESJPA programs, tools, and services. We added some specificity there to include targeted outreach to rural non-member counties to highlight the benefits and cost-sharing advantages of the participating entity program. Again, just adding that extra layer to really make sure we're hitting the programs ESJPA is actively working on. We added a strategy to invite outside counties to join meetings to share concerns and issues, right? Adding to that greater visibility, greater outreach. And then the number of county board presentations conducted, and we added we revised that to add a newsletter created and distributed, whether it is or isn't. And then we added number of number of non-RCRC jurisdictions added to the participating entity program. And lastly, under the goal of impactful advocacy, for the strategy, increase member engagement with the legislature and regulatory agencies, we added the producer responsibility organizations and added nonprofits on legislative proposals, regulations, policies, and programs. Again, just added specificity. And we added a strategy to facilitate member advocacy by providing template letters and action alerts, package these templates to provide instructions to member counties regarding advocacy efforts, template letters, action alerts, laws, regulations, policies, plans, and programs. Under the metrics, we added the number of position letters aligned with ESJPA And we revised under the number of bills and regulatory proposals, we revised that to add RCRC in the solid waste and recycling issues area. So that's, again, ESJPA and RCRC are working together, but we're tracking the number of things RCRC is specifically working on solid waste on. Great, and that's kind of all the kind of tweaks we made, right? It's not a new business plan in a way, shape, or form. It's just really refining what we already had.
He can do his discussion.
And then, Ted, did you have a chance to review it and how?
I did. I'm happy with it and
There you
move to
go.
approve.
Thank you for that. And honestly, I'll be on, Ted he was the idea man, and I just said, oh, that sounds good. So I was just along for the ride. But thank you for that. You know, you're our, in my mind, our expert on this stuff far more than I am. So appreciate it. So we have a motion to approve.
Amador will second.
And Amador is second. And is there any further discussion? Everybody have a good chance to look at it? Thank you so much, Chris, for all your work on this.
My pleasure. This is fun.
Yeah, it is nice. And it's nice to have these goals that we can, really tangible. So thank you for all your work on it. And I think Julie's ready.
I think so. To do a vote?
Did you have anything to add to this, Larry, or you're good? Okay, we'll do our vote then. Roll call vote. Yep.
Ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Alpine County, Amador County,
Yes.
Butte County, Calaveras, Calusa, Del Norte,
Yes.
El Dorado,
Aye.
Glenn County, Imperial, Inyo,
Yes.
Kings, Lake, Lassen County, Madera County, Mariposa County, Modoc County, Mono County,
Yes.
Nevada County, Plumas County,
Yes.
Shasta County,
Yes.
Sierra County, Siskiyou County, Solano County,
Aye.
Tehama County,
Yes.
Trinity County,
Yes.
Tuolumne County. And the motion passed.
Great. Thanks, Julie.
And let me share.
Due to scheduling constraints, we're going to jump ahead really quick to item 6, our legislative update. And John Kenny's down there.
Cool. Thank you. Stacy, I don't know if you want to make me a host, but I've got a couple things that I want to mention. I want to start with the budget. There's some pretty cool stuff happening with the budget that I think is of particular interest to us. There is a $50 million grant proposal that has been integrated into the budget, not yet approved, so it could fall out. But $50 million from the Beverage Container Recycling Fund to support and expand rural beverage container recycling redemption opportunities in up to 40 jurisdictions, 40 rural jurisdictions. It's $50 million over a 5-year period. So they discuss on the BCP that if everyone applies and everyone gets funding, it would be about $200,000 a year for each of those applicants to support beverage container redemption. There aren't a lot of details in the program that they're suggesting, although I think there's some expectations that local governments would ensure that there are beverage container recycling opportunities. That gives me a little bit of concern. So we've had some discussions with CalRecycle asking them, hey, can we get together and discuss how to build this program so that it's a program people are very interested in applying for and using, either whether it's local governments applying for it, whether it's private entities applying or something. And is there a way that we can leverage this funding under this program to support other types of recycling and redemption opportunities? Maybe there are ways to pair this with other stewardship programs, maybe textiles, maybe e-waste recovery programs, universal wastes, maybe even SB 54 stuff to some extent. I think Howard Cycle's very interested in exploring those opportunities. Talked with CAA. I think they have some interest in that as well. So kind of wanted to talk to you guys really fast. I know we've had a lot of thinking and discussion, but wanted to talk to you guys about what you think might be helpful to bring redemption centers and opportunities to your rural jurisdictions. Is that, an increased transportation subsidy for rural areas? Is it increased payments? Is it you need new capital infrastructure or money for personnel? What would be helpful? And would love to turn it over to you guys for any thoughts before I get into ledge.
Oh, you want to know now?
Yeah, if you
John
guys,
wants to
well,
know
if you guys
now.
have thoughts now, wonderful. If you have thoughts later, that's great too. I'll take them.
Yeah, you can send them to
but-
either one of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but right now, we're in, I don't know how much time we'll have to come up with some type of program or suggestions to Cower Cycle. And so the faster we get this information, the better. I see Diane has a hand
Yeah, I
raised.
would say Diane's online, and then Doug's got something, and maybe Paul. I'm not sure. Yep.
Hi, this is actually Charlene with Shasta County. One of our problems with getting the CRVs out to more rural areas is permitting. We'd have to update ordinances, and just the staff time necessary to make it so that they can open up is right now very burdensome. So if we could charge that staff time to address ordinance issues, that would be really beneficial for us.
Okay.
Okay. Doug?
Thank you. Doug Copel, CPSC. Just another reminder too, there's already existing funding grant funding opportunities out there right now. I just want to remind this group of it. It's the RIG 7, 8, and 9 grants. These are innovation grants for CRV. They're about $20 million each, and the deadline for submittal of those is June 23rd. So it's coming up for the deadline on that. And CPSC has reached out to our funders to see if we can help.
Oh, thanks for that reminder. Did you have something, Paul, then too? And then Ted's online, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I know one issue was the convenience zone area. So if they're outside of that, they don't get that additional incentive, I believe. So we had one that wanted to cite. They eventually did end up citing, which is good. We also have another a private transfer station that had a CRV redemption center many years ago, and they had to pull it. I believe it was the staffing issue there. Because they also have to manage the rest of their transfer station in addition to that. So definitely, yeah, staffing would be great for some of those remote areas, and then the convenience zone aspect.
Okay.
So that's really helpful. That was one of the things that came to mind. Look, if we have a rural transfer station or something, the beverage container recycling program can suck up a lot of time trying to deal with everyone that comes through, in addition to the paperwork, reporting, all that stuff. So funding for staffing would be helpful. The thing that concerns me about this is it's only for a 4 to 5 year period. And so once that expires, what are we going to do to make that permanent? But that's a then problem, and we'd have to problem solve for that. But the staffing thing is very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Ted.
Just reiterating the point that convenience stores are a big area where these beverage containers are sold, and they're a big hole in terms of collections. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? Well, John's ready.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll scribble my notes. Participation. Cool. I am one of the slowest riders out there. So thank you for the indulgence. Now I'll try to move through legislation pretty quickly. For context, we are in the second house now, so all the legislation had to get out of the House of Origin. So assembly bills are now in the Senate being considered by policy committees. They have until early July to consider those, and then we'll have summer break and then come back for everything to be heard on the floor. Not a lot in the solid waste arena, but a number of bills that I think you all should be aware of that we're engaging on. And I won't discuss some of them so that Doug can discuss a couple of his. He's been running quite a few bills this year, and we're strongly supportive of some of those efforts. So to start with illegal dumping, there are 3 bills out there, a few more, but really 3 bills. AB 1153 by Assemblymember Bonta is looking to make it eligible for illegal dumping grant payments, the cleanup and abatement of RVs, abandoned RVs, which can be helpful, and also helping to fund some additional resources, ordinance, technical assistance for locals. The only caveat on that is the bill prioritizes funding for Cal and virus screen disadvantaged communities, which generally won't be any of your jurisdictions. But it's out there, and we are supportive of that along with the other locals. AB 2310 by Juan Carrillo is a bill that was introduced to address the problem with illegal land application and disposal in many areas of the state, but particularly in the high desert, the Antelope Valley. So this is a bill that closes loopholes to criminalize illegal dumping of rocks, materials, debris with the consent of the landowner, but without the permits that would otherwise be required by Cal Recycle, local enforcement agencies, or any other permits that are required. So we're strongly supporting this as a way to get at stopping the large scale illegal dumping that is causing real horrific consequences in many parts of our state. The next bill, SB 1230 by Senator Valladares, is a bill that increases penalty maximums for the second and third violations of illegal dumping. It's been really hard to get these penalties adjusted even for inflation since they were last increased 20 years ago. So she's trying to do that and also trying to have Cal Recycle devote more resources and websites for local governments to use to deal with illegal dumping. We're supporting that one as well. We are also having some discussions with a number of other agencies and departments about legislation we can introduce next year to provide more tools for locals to deal with illegal dumping. More to report on that later. But if you all have ideas, now is the time where we start thinking about next year and would be more than happy to listen to those. All right. Organic waste, there's a lot going on in this sector when it comes to compostable plastics. AB 1812 is a bill from the Compost Coalition and others that's being carried by Assemblymember Agway R. Curry. Right now, compostable plastics have a new leash on life, at least for the first 6 months of the SB 54 implementation. But they're not really readily recyclable or readily compostable in our facilities. They don't break down in the time that our facilities operate and are contaminants. And there's really very little market for them because they're not organic inputs. So AB 1812 is an attempt to try and shore up that. There are a lot of discussions on potential modifications of that. Can we allow the continued sale and marketing of, say, non-organic compostable produce stickers and maybe some other small commodities as they seek certification from the feds to be an organic input? Way too far in the weeds for you, but this is an incredibly contentious issue, one that we're fighting with industry on and one that has prompted federal legislation. The PAC Act has been introduced back in DC. Adam Gray is one of the few co-sponsors of the measure that would override and preempt all state standards for determining what is recyclable or compostable. The recyclability preemption is definitely of concern. The compostability preemption is fatal for a lot of our efforts here in California. And so we are putting together a coalition letter on that to oppose the PAC Act. Not sure that that bill itself will get a lot of traction and move forward, but it's something that could easily be inserted into some other vehicle back in DC. Has a lot of support from Texas legislators, from Iowa legislators, from Florida legislators, and Adam Gray from California. So right now our coalition, I believe, includes us. I think we've got CSAC, Cal Cities joined, the Compost Coalition, NSAC. I'm forgetting a couple others. But anyway, it's a robust coalition and hopefully they'll take us seriously on that going forward. Moving on, I'd planned on talking about more vape bills, but I'll save one of them for Doug. Our sponsored AB 2667 by Assemblymember Hadwick continues to move through the process. We have the glory of having been triple referred to 3 different policy committees in the Senate. That is something that almost never occurs. So it's going to be a fun-filled next few weeks for us. This is a bill that requires DTSC to figure out better pathways for schools to manage vapes and for schools to more cost-effectively manage vapes. Based on our communications with Yuba and Sutter counties and their local educational agencies, we added in some amendments to the bill that would allow local HHW collection facilities to go out to school sites and collect vapes that are confiscated from students, as long as they're in separately labeled buckets with that school site's EPA ID number, and it's still under the 2.2 pounds. It's an authorization. You're not required to do this, but if you as an HHW collection facility in your locals think that's a service that may be helpful to your schools, you would be allowed to do that under the bill. One of the big concerns for us in taking these materials has been the 2.2 pound limit for acutely hazardous waste. So if this is your vape, do you count the entire vape towards that or just the cartridge? There's federal guidance that says all you count is the cartridge. And so you can have hundreds of vapes under that 2.2 pound limit. We're informed by DTSC they can't rely on that guidance. And so we can't either because of conflicting state regulations. So we're trying to codify that guidance and basically say, look, you can assume that the maximum amount of acutely hazardous waste in that vape is the size of the cartridge. If it's an ELF bar and you know the most that cartridge can contain is 13 grams, you've got a 13-gram acutely hazardous waste for that device. We have conversations with DTSC this afternoon to see if they are amenable to those changes. We'll see. Part 2 of the bill would allow you as HHW collection facilities to safely disassemble a vape as long as you have training and you have consulted with your local CUPA and fire agency. This would allow you to separate the cartridge from everything else, hopefully significantly reduce your management costs. Not a requirement. Again, just opening the door for you to treat one commodity so you can provide a pathway for safe disposal of those. And then finally on that bill, the most fun part is a provision that bans disguised vapes, so highlighter vapes and Sharpie vapes that we don't know are vapes when they come through our facilities or go into the trash. And then also video game vapes will be banned under this bill. We have no opposition yet. I'm hoping to keep it that way. And we've gotten a nice universe of supporters and co-sponsors. So we've had some pretty good success with that bill so far. Shifting gears to nitrous oxide, there are several bills out there on nitrous oxide. The League of Cities is sponsoring SB 758 by Senator Umberg. This is in the second house in the Assembly. It's a bill that bans tobacco retailers from selling nitrous oxide. It's a great bill. We're supporting it. We are sponsoring Blake Spears SB 936 with INSAC, Orange County, and the San Diego District Attorney's Office that would ban all flavored NOx cylinders in the state of California and would ban unflavored NOx cylinders in sizes larger than your 8-gram whipped cream charger. This should really help address the public health and safety issues associated with NOx use, chronic use of NOx. We have a lot of locals that have already adopted similar ordinances. Mendocino, I believe, has one, Humboldt, Orange County, and quite a few others. We are allowing the use of NOx for, traditional legitimate uses like dentistry, vets, manufacturing, whoever needs to use it. There was something else I wanted to mention there. We're trying to build into the bill cost recovery for when we go in and confiscate someone's NOx cylinders that they're selling illicitly. So we won't bear the cost of $60 plus per cylinder to manage and dispose. We can actually deal with that and get reimbursed for it. Okay, 3 more. Bear with me. Household hazardous waste. We've got SB 501 by Senator Ben Allen that we're still sponsoring with RRCC and INSAC. It's a bill that requires producers of medium format batteries, so think your e-scooter, e-bike batteries, to develop a PRO program and take those back. That should help address our management costs associated with those types of batteries as they become more frequent in our facilities. He has another bill, SB 615, that's trying to get at vehicle traction batteries. So think your car, electric car batteries. That one's been a little bit harder. They're trying to refine the bill and pivot so it's modeled more after a Colorado-based approach, which would still be helpful. The only caveat there, it's not clear that it would require the manufacturers to cover battery components. So if someone breaks down an EV battery into individual cells and other components and they come to our facilities, it would not encompass those. We're in conversations with Alan and the sponsors to try and figure that out. AB 1617 by Assemblymember Alanis is a bill that would try and align CalRecycle and DTSC's HHW reporting. I think that one has probably the best chance of all of these to get to the governor's office and get signed. CalRecycle seems to be completely fine with it. And then franchise fees, the League of Cities is sponsoring a bill that CSAC and our CRC are happily co-sponsoring, SB 922 by Laird, that would overturn, revise a recent decision, Rogers versus City of Redlands, that basically says local government franchise agreements can't force residents or haulers to pay for road maintenance costs. We have built into a lot of our franchise agreements those road maintenance charges. Those were at issue and struck down by Rogers versus City of Redlands. So we're trying to clarify that we can continue to recover those costs. That's all I have for legislation. There are a lot of other things out there. Happy to take any questions you might have on that. Otherwise, happy to turn the time back over to Stacy.
How are we doing, everyone? That was a lot, by the way, but
Sorry.
no, it's necessary. The only question I had, John, was that, banning things in California, let's say, the question always comes back in my conversations anyway. People always go, well, what about online sales and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, will it be so that if you put it in your cart, you live in California, like I've tried to buy like rat kill,
Yeah.
or something like that, and it says, no, you can't have it. I mean, is that gonna go with this?
So it's a ban on the retail sale.
Uh-huh.
For Hadwick's bill on vapes, there are significantly increased penalties for distribution. So those who are distributing and selling in large quantities to retailers in the state, it's not on personal possession or
Okay.
disposal. And, I'll recognize we can't regulate what's sold on, tribal properties, tribal reservations, what's brought into the state from, Californians crossing state lines. We're just doing what we can do.
Oh, that's a really good point. And the tribe one does relate to my county. So you're right. That does come up in conversation too. So, okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. And that's all you got for us, really?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all the work that you're doing on our behalf. Really appreciate it. So then with that, we'll circle back. We skipped over public comment. That's different than member county concerns. So is there any members from the public? Not, nobody that are members. Probably not, but always want to check in.
Not seeing anything.
Cool. We'll move on then. I know Melissa is online from CalRecycle with her report. There she is.
Yay. Good. It's still morning.
Still morning. We do a lot.
Yes, it's been a very interesting, wonderful meeting today. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the CalRecycle updates for monthly. The monthly SB 1383 Chat with CalRecycle webinars. CalRecycle is hosting a webinar as part of the series SB 1383 Chat with CalRecycle to provide an opportunity to discuss how the Plastic Pollution Prevention Packaging Producer Responsibility Act, that's a mouthful, which we heard their presentation today, Senate Bill 54, Allen Chapter 75, Statutes of 2022, relates to SB 1383 for local jurisdictions. CalRecycle staff will be available to answer related questions. And this webinar, mark your calendars, is scheduled for June 17th, 9 to 12 a.m. And a list serve message was sent out with more information. So stay tuned for that. Our SB 1383 Chat with Cal Recycle webinar was held on April 30th, 2026 from 1 to 3 p.m. and was focused on recovered organic waste products procurement. And a link will be provided in the updates that I'll provide to Stacy. Records of our previous SB 1383 chats are also available on the department's YouTube channel. To be up to date on various topics, you can join the local jurisdiction, excuse me, interested parties listserv to be notified, and that link will be provided too. We got a lot of open grants cycles that you'll be excited about. Beverage Container Redemption Innovation Grant Program, such as the reverse vending machine, the cycle 9, due date June 23rd. Beverage Container Redemption Innovation Grant Program, New Recycling Center, cycle 8 will be due June 23rd. The Beverage Container Redemption Innovative Grant Program Mobile, cycle 7 is due June 23rd. And the Beverage Container Redemption Innovative Grant Program for Bag Drop, cycle 6 due June 23rd. A lot of beverage container redemption grants. This one is dealer cooperatives, continuous through June 30th. Farm and ranch solid waste cleanup and abatement grant due July 8th. Tires, can't get enough of them. Tire derived aggregate grant program fiscal year 2026 through 27 due July 16th. Tire equipment loan program continuous. Beverage container recycling loan program continuous. Greenhouse gas reduction loan program continuous. And the recycling market development zone loan program is also continuous. Stakeholder workshops, June 17th at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is going to talk about the covered battery embedded waste recycling fee workshop. That's going to be held at the Cal EPA building, Byron Share Auditorium at 1001 I Street in Sacramento. The next public meeting is going to be held on June 16th. And I also have a link to our website regarding public meetings. And finally, I'd like to give a shout out to Inyo County. The city of Bishop has started a really exciting organics collection program. It is with the Paiute tribe, has a community composting program for residential drop-off. It's free. My team is currently working with them on expanding this collection to include the commercial businesses, which also would be free. It was funded by the CCG2 grant. So it's really exciting. My team members who are both attending this meeting, Esmeralda and Laura, also got to go and see this community composting site firsthand. Esmeralda, I was going to ask if we can offer Esmeralda to provide any updates. She's online.
Yeah, if she has anything
to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see your Stacy on there? Just, okay.
Just a sec. She's
Yeah.
I know she's there because she spoke earlier.
Yes.
Esmeralda, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we're gonna let Esmeralda.
There she goes.
Okay,
We had to
Esmeralda, you
unmute
just
her
need
and
to
all that.
unmute. Yeah.
Yay.
There you go.
Yeah, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, so thank you. Like Melissa said, we are very excited to be working with the Paiute tribe. They are located in Bishop, City of Bishop in Inyo County. They're looking to expand their program to do a lot of commercial collection. Right now, their operation is pretty small, and they don't have the amount of feedstock that they're hoping to have for their local compost operation. So we're exploring options such as partnering them with a local hospital, some of the local school districts, some larger restaurants that might have back of house organic, since that tends to be a little bit of a cleaner stream than front of house sorted material. And looking at partnering them with the green businesses in the areas. Just a lot of opportunities to divert some of that organic material that is currently being sent to a landfill. Even though they have their rural exemption in the city of Bishop and all of Inyo County, so they don't have to collect organic material, it is a great opportunity to provide some diversion in the area. So we are super excited to be working with the tribe and seeing where we can provide some partnerships for them to get more organic material.
Excellent.
Very good.
And
Did you
that
have any?
concludes
There it
our,
is. Okay.
and that concludes our presentation unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Calorie Cycle? Anyone? Larry's got something. Hang tight, Melissa.
Okay.
I'll just throw out my usual question on any update you can elaborate on the SB 1383 compliance evaluation. It's been extremely silent for quite some time.
Right. And I think I don't have any particular updates except they continue to add more jurisdictions to their compliance evaluation list. So my team, well, Land is currently working with their jurisdictions that Jace has identified to continue their compliance evaluation. It might be an idea to potentially bring this topic up at a public meeting. I've told our management about the concerns that you have raised. So I will continue to do so, Larry. Definitely.
You mentioned there's an additional jurisdictions added, like a third round. I don't remember seeing that on monthly agenda.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. No? You gonna follow up with on that then?
Yeah.
Larry, you
Think we're good?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Larry's gonna follow up on that, Melissa.
Supervisor
Okay.
Rozier had a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Lori. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, not a question, just a comment. Thank you to Esmeralda and Melissa. Really appreciate the work you guys are doing with the Bishop Tribe. I just wanted to mention that we've really been able to find a nexus with that project with some funding from Catalyst funding from Sierra Jobs First. We just had our on a composting project for the region, and we just had our monthly meeting yesterday. There's a significant amount of work going on there, and that's been a kind of a spark. The tribe's work there has been a spark to the composting program. So just want to send some shout out and thanks for that.
And that's really good to hear, Jen. Thanks for that. And hi. Okay, are we good then with Calorie Cycle, everyone? Thank you for that additional information, Esmeralda. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Melissa. Okay.
You bet.
And then I think we're ready to move on to now the member county concerns. And we always have a lot of conversation along the way, but is there anything specific you guys don't see covered in our agenda that you want to throw out there today? I'm looking around the room, check in online. that's because we have such good, robust conversations along the way, is what I'm going to say, which we do. I mean, I really appreciate those opportunities. So if we're good, then we're going to move on to, yeah. So we're looking at item 7, our extended producer responsibility report outs. I didn't realize, but thank you, Doug, for being here today. You're going to cover the California Product Stewardship Council update, and he's here in the room with us.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Corlin. This is Doug Coble, Executive Director for the California Product Stewardship Council. Joanne's not able to join us today, but she is now the Assistant Director of CPSC. So there's something to update. Promoted her last month. So
okay.
Well deserved. So if you have her for future, I'm still planning for her to be the one giving the updates here. But we just decided it'd be convenient for me to come in and do the update today. So a couple things. Thank you for letting us come in and give our updates. I wanted to jump in real quick first on, there's one bill, illegal dumping bill, that I thought was pretty important that John didn't present on or give you a little information on, was SB 1218. So it's the only Senate bill on illegal dumping. It's by Senator Arreguin, and it's going to allow the DMV, or require the DMV, to not issue a registration renewal if there's an outstanding issue with illegal dumping. So it's similar to your parking tickets. Right now, DMV can refuse to renew your vehicle license if you have outstanding parking tickets. Well, the same will now be for illegal dumping citations. So a move in the right direction, I think. And so I think it's just something that I thought might be interesting to the ESJPA group. So now I'm going to circle.
What was the number on that again, Doug?
That is SB 1218.
1218. Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, now to the CPSC update. AB 80 is our carpet bill that we were working on with Assemblymember Aguilar Curry over in the Napa, Napa County area since last year. And it got held last year in approps, but she is introducing, or going to hijack and getting amend an existing vehicle that's sitting over in the Senate on the floor right now. I can't say the number yet because she hasn't come out publicly with it yet, but it is coming. We have an RN pending. So it is going to put some fixes on the carpet program, enhance and improve the carpet program, do some things that weren't done in AB 863, which was done in 2024. And then fix a couple things in 2020 in AB 863 that need to be fixed. So it is going to be moving quickly, but we're just waiting for our RN to come out of Office of Administrative Law. So, and that should be hopefully tomorrow. Okay, moving on. So John did mention AB 762. Thank you very much. This is the vapes, single-use vapes ban bill, sales bill, ban bill. Thank you very much for being supportive of that bill. So if you don't know what this bill is, it's basically going to prohibit the sale or distribution in the state of any non-rechargeable, non-reusable vape devices. And it's specific for nicotine devices only. We had cannabis in there up until January of this year, and we were not going to get out of the first house if we didn't jettison cannabis. So we had to jettison cannabis because they have a very powerful influence in the state capitol. So that's why it's now just nicotine devices. But basically, the pod will need to be removable, and the battery can be removable, but must be rechargeable in order for it to qualify as a reusable device and be sold in California. So this bill right now is will be going to Senate Environmental Quality next week on the 17th. Then it goes to Senate Revenue and Taxation on the 24th. If anyone is interested in supporting this, we have a huge contingent of support, but we always love to see more on this bill. The support letters need to be put in by June 18th, so next week, in order to be shown on the analysis as being in support of the bill when it gets to revenue and tax. It's too late for Senate EQ right now, but it will get into the revenue and tax one. So it was interesting to see that we have 2.5 pages of logos alone on our support coalition support letter. If you've ever seen one of those, usually there's a couple dozen, but this one's 2.5 pages of logos. Thanks. So it's a huge, broad support on that one. Okay, moving on to AB 864. This is the solar panel bill that we were working on early last year, and it kind of stalled Basically now that bill, instead of being an EPR bill for solar panels, it's just going to be a repair bill to align the federal rules with the state rules so that you can actually process solar panels in the state of California within the state more easily. CPSC is supporting it. We're no longer a sponsor of it. And it is sitting right now on the Senate floor since September of last year. So we're not sure if it's going to move or not, but now it's up to really the two industry folks, which is Solar Energy Industry Association and the California Solar Storage Association. They're carrying the weight on this bill now to try and get it done to change and align the rules with the federal regulations. Next one is AB 2462. This was our recalled products bill that CPSC was sponsoring. Unfortunately, that bill died in appropriations. It got held in appropriations. It unfortunately got a almost $4 million price tag tied to it. We believe there was a misunderstanding of exactly what the state agency's role was going to be in administering that recalled products legislation. And so we will likely be bringing that back once we understand where the miscommunication was on the bill, so that make sure it doesn't get the price tag that it got. And so that one will likely come back. Then finally, the last bill that CPSC is fully involved in, we are sponsoring SB 1010 with Senator Ashby. And this is the Refrigerant Stewardship and Recovery Act. This was starting off as going to be an EPR program for refrigeration devices. Basically anything that wasn't bolted to the ground was going to be in this. But as we're working through this, we're realizing that that type of program may not get through to the governor for signature. And if it does, he may not sign it. So we are looking to potentially back that down a little bit to be more of an enforcement bill, because we've got folks that are part of the Certified Appliance Recycler Program that's run by DTSC in the state that guarantees that appliances that are going to be destroyed through metal shredding, et cetera, are first properly managed. And so DTSC manages that program. Unfortunately, we're finding there are a lot of enforcement problems with that law. And so, and this bill kind of started out looking at that as the problem was illegal off-gassing of refrigeration units so that they could just recover the metals. And so we're going to be carving that back to be more, basically give DTSC much more authority, enforcement authority, to go after not only the bad actors in the CAR program, but also to go after the bad actors who are part of the program and should be. So that bill will be amending it pretty significantly here and it's already in the assembly. As you heard John say, all the bills in one house are already in the second house by this point. And so that is going to the Environmental Safety and Toxics Committee and we'll be doing amendments before it meets that committee. And we are double referred, not triple referred. You guys are very fortunate to have a triple referred bill. I really hope that bill gets all the way through. It should. And then we'll be going to, I believe we'll be going to natural resources in the assembly as well. And then on to then it'll go back to the Senate for concurrence and then off to the governor for signature. So that was my update. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Doug. And there was in the chat a thank you to you for specifically an update on SB 1010. So that was from Veronica online. So does anybody else have anything for Doug while we have him? There's a lot going on with our legislature. Well, it's that time. What am I saying?
Yes, it is.
We're not surprised. This is what we need, things to move forward. So good. Anyone online? Ted, did you have anything or?
Just appreciation to Doug and John for keeping us up to date on all of these things. There are a lot of bills moving. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, and I did have one other, sorry, I realized, I don't know if Emily covered this. For SB 54, did she cover the advisory board upcoming meetings for the SB 54 advisory board?
Did she, Larry? Larry thinks so. Yeah. Okay. Narcissa said yes.
Okay,
She
great.
mentioned that they're going to be evaluating the plan.
3 meetings and dates?
3 meetings.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
That's what I was thinking too. Very good. Okay. Thank you, Doug. We'll move on to Mattress Recycling Council update. Christine is here in the room with us. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everybody. So we've got so many events coming up. I encourage you to go online because if I told you how many we have coming up, we'd be here forever. We have a couple goals for this year for our program. Every year we sort of focus on different areas of the state to target for different types of outreach, either adding more convenience, reaching out to environmental justice communities, or just underserved and rural communities. So this year we're actually focusing on northern San Diego County. That's already sort of in the works. Calaveras County, as well as the unincorporated Solano County and Kings County, the area of like Lemoore, where like the Air Force Naval Base is. Those are sort of our targets this year in terms of getting more access to these areas. If you didn't see it, if buying a mattress in the state of California it's now an $18 recycling fee that went up in April. Let's see what else. We're pretty much just moving along. Sorry. And if you have any questions about events in your counties, or if you have any questions about adding sites for mattress collection, you can always reach out to us. And we have everything on our Bye Bye Mattress website. And that's really all I have for you.
Really good. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Christine while we've got her here? I'm looking online. And oh, Heidi, I just texted you. I was going to check with you after Eric, if you're okay with that.
No, that's fine.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Doug. Good to see you. Okay. Thank you, Christine. We'll move on to Eric real quick.
Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on Pink Care's annual report for state of California. Throughout the year of 2025, we collected over 3.5 million gallons of paint through our collection efforts and through all of the counties and retail sites and cities. 89% of that collection was 3,546,898 gallons to be exact. 89% of that was latex, with 11% being oil-based or solvent-based products. Through 826 year-round drop-off sites, which include retail, city and county, HHW, city facilities, yards. Also, we did 1,003 individual large volume pickups through our RLVP service and our LVP service. That has been expanding like gangbusters. We've been pushing it, but we've actually hired on a young lady that specifically is managing the LVP processes in California. Right now, we have convenience criteria well met. 99.4% of residents live within 15 miles of a drop-off site. And again, 89% of the total latex paint that was collected was recycled back into usable latex paint, with the other percentages, I think it was like 9% was reuse, which we're pushing heavily. And unfortunately, I think it was just a hair under 1% that ends up in the landfills. We try to do our best, but sometimes we just get some products that we can't do anything with.
Yeah.
But no, the program has been running very strongly. With the SB 1143 having passed, so we're going to be expanding our program quite a bit, and that's going to include several product lines. So we're still working on that. I don't have any information yet, Larry, of what will be included exactly. But I'm hoping that as we get closer to the final date, which is January 1st of 2028, we'll have something to report to you guys as far as exactly what products and where we'll be collecting these products. I think we work right now with just about every county in the state and their HHW program, except for one lone holdout out down in Kings County that we've been working on, but we still haven't quite got them. It's more of a contract issue with, I think, Clean Harbors, which contracts with the county.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we work with every county, and we're happy to work with all of you. If you have any events coming up, just make sure you let us know, let your local coordinator know, and we can get those in our system and make sure we get those coordinated with you guys.
Perfect.
you go.
Thank you. Any questions for Eric on paint recycling? I will say, when did we go on that field trip, Stacy? Was that like 3 years ago now?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was, to me, I learned a lot on that trip, and I'm terming out, so I know you'll have at least one new member next year you may want to consider doing that
Doing it again.
only
Yep.
because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
found it
I'll talk to
really,
Terry and see if we can't arrange something.
That
That'd
would
be
be
fantastic.
great.
yeah.
And
it-
so much
we
has
will-
changed in 3 years. So much has changed.
Well, there
in
you
3 years,
go.
yeah.
So, and I don't know how many members here are, didn't make it to that trip.
Yeah, we
also,
would love
but-
to do that again as part of a tag in our
Okay,
afternoon
well, I'll be
session.
seeing
So
Terry for lunch this afternoon, and I'm going to mention it to her.
fantastic.
Very good.
Perfect.
Okay. Is there anybody? I don't see anybody online, so then we'll move on. And Heidi Sanborn here is online with the National Stewardship Council, and we didn't have you on the agenda, Heidi, but you know what? When we saw you online, we're like going, "Hey, give us a quick update if you could." Thank you.
Thanks. I'll do it quick. I was doing another webinar for the National Recycling Coalition, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be here, but John always covers the bills greatly, and does a great job. So I didn't want to just, emphasize Tuesday. We've got our 2 co-sponsored bills up for hearings, and they're both doing really well. The battery bill is the one that's going to be the hardest, SB 501, but the one on the not a laughing matter, laughing gas bill is got a lot of support. I got the DA from Sacramento, the DA, we have from Orange County as a co-sponsor, or San Diego. So it is a public health issue, number one, and I really hope everybody can get behind that and help it get done this year. But I did want to update you on something that's very interesting and related to what you're doing, which is LA County, not rural, obviously, but they have decided that they are not waiting for the state to address household hazardous waste due to the high cost. They did a study last year that estimates that they are getting about 8% of what is out there and available for household hazardous waste through proper management. So less than 10% at a cost of $14 million a year. It's a huge fail, and they know it. It's not their fault. It's the way the system's set up. There's not enough money. There's all these things. But at the end of the day, we are the fourth most deadly industry in the nation, in part because we have a lot of dangerous products going through our system that start our trucks on fire, that start our recycling facilities and organics facilities on fire. They start fires in landfills. They explode, and this is causing insurance to go up, costs to go up, etc. So they have decided to introduce their own ordinance on EPR. As you know, we sponsored a bill with you all for household hazardous waste, and both years we've had to pivot, knowing it's not going to get signed, and make them smaller. This year, last year it was expanding the paint care program to being including aerosol cans, which was fantastic, and all the other paints. But this year it's the medium format battery bill. So it's adding hoverboards and e-bike batteries to the existing loose battery EPR bill. Very important. But we have so much hazardous waste that has no program. And they're so underfunded to do these programs. So LA County's introduced an ordinance idea. They started having stakeholder meetings. I was presenting on the meeting for industry, and they had one for the NGOs, community, and they're going to have another one for local governments next Wednesday on the 17th. And anybody, they're interested, of course, in their LA jurisdictions, but if anybody wants to see and learn about this will have a ripple effect across the state. And their hope is that this will push the discussion up to the state legislature. We don't want county by county approach, but when the state fails to act and the costs get to this level, and the dangers get to this level, and especially after the fires, they were exposed to a lot of toxic chemicals because of what was in people's garages. It's like a hazardous waste storage unit. And so they want to do something about it. So I just wanted you all to know that if you're interested at all in participating, I'll keep you updated on what's happening. But I'm on a subcommittee or a Tetra Tech's consulting team on that. And I'll be reporting back, but they plan on having something done by early next year. And hopefully this will push the industry to understand that they have to do something, that not just sell the product, but help pay for the back end of it, and not socialize those costs onto all of you. So I'm happy to take any questions.
I really appreciate that. The cost shouldn't be on us for sure. Does anyone have any questions on that? I'm looking online. Okay.
We have a website and everything. If you want to look at the ordinance or weigh in, giving comments, it will feed in, as I said, to the state bill. So but I know everybody's plate's very full. So
Yeah. And I do see somebody online, like Veronica.
Yeah, Veronica, you can
Yeah.
unmute yourself and
Yeah, are you all able to hear me all right?
Yeah, we are.
Great. Thank you both to Doug and Heidi. Heidi, I just had a question. It was a question from a member at our member meeting yesterday, wondering if the Firefighters Association have ever engaged at all on some of these bills, just because, as we're talking about fire issues and the risks associated with the disposal of these materials. Just a general question, and I did ask our lobbyists as well, understanding that of course a lot of the associations are focused maybe more on the labor aspect, but still, of course, labor, this is a health and safety issue for them as well. And that was it.
exactly. Yeah, that's when they've come in actually on the marine flare bill, when we had the EPR marine flare bill, which the governor vetoed, they supported that because they see the fires. In fact, I don't know if you saw, but Santa Maria Island just burned half down to the ground because, and it's the Galapagos of California, because of somebody setting off a marine flare, started the fire on the island. So firefighters care a lot about this stuff. We have not engaged them. I don't know if they're on the list for LA County. I will definitely raise that with LA County and make sure they're doing their own outreach. I know their firefighters were very upset at like what they were finding for hazardous waste left after the fires, and then also the cost of cleanup and their exposure. So I will definitely make sure they reach out, but to their firefighters locally at the state level on these bills, I don't think we have, and that's a great idea. So I'll go ahead and do that.
I do know that we've had some discussions about some of these issues with the Office of the State Fire Marshal. We work with them quite a bit, and so they are following. It's a little tough for them to get the ability to take an official position, but we have had those discussions.
Locals might have an easier time of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially after a fire like this. So that's a great suggestion. Thanks, Veronica.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Okay. With that, thanks, Heidi.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. We'll move on to our solid waste regulatory updates. And you want to just go through these like we do, Larry?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know that we need to talk too much more about SB 54, but Larry, if you have anything to add.
Oh, just a couple things. One, the regulations did get approved, so we're going to figure out what that means. One other thing I forgot to mention is that even if you claim the exemption, realize that your residents are going to be paying the increased fees on the plastic products anyway.
Oh.
So that might come up in the process. It will not be a visible fee on the receipts that they see like it is for bottles and cans, but so it might be an incentive to participate in the program. And we'll keep having discussions with CAA. They've been very amenable to work with. So hopefully we can work out something once they understand the rural areas. Okay. Just keep rolling right along.
Yes, please.
So SB 1383 checking in, and Melissa prompted me to check. I just pulled the list of jurisdictions that got compliance letters for SB 1383. It is now up to 84 jurisdictions, which is 47% of the jurisdictions in California have gotten a letter saying you're under compliance review. And there has been very few of them coming off the list that I've heard of. So there's a lot left to be done on that one. Let's see.
Larry, are you going to take CowerCycle up on their suggestion to ask that question at the next public meeting?
Not really, because we'd probably get the same response.
But at least it's on record.
Could do that. Also send them a note or a letter. But yeah, there hasn't been very many, almost, I think it's been well over a year before any jurisdictions were discussed at the meetings. So I think they're a little distracted with other things. But I do hear rumblings from some of our counties and other counties about discussions that are going on. It seems you're asked to send information in and you don't hear back.
I will say for Solano County, year one of all this, our large cities, Fairfield, Vacaville, and Vallejo, all received the initial notification and were visited by CalRecycle, and to date, they still have not received any follow-up. And in March of this year, the remaining jurisdictions within my county, so all of the smaller jurisdictions, so Solano County unincorporated, City of Benicia, City of Dixon, City of Rio Vista, and City of Sassoon City all received the notification. Everyone provided the hyperlink to CalRecycle, and since that time, we still have not heard anything as well.
Yeah, I've only heard of a few getting a letter saying no further action at this time. That's the best you'll get. But there's only been a few. So we'll keep watching for that one. Illegal dumping, we did have our meeting, I think, since our last ESJPA meeting, and still continuing efforts there. So I'll keep providing information on that for people. We'll probably plan another illegal dumping technical advisory committee meeting sometime in the next few months. Kind of work with CalRecycle on that one. One thing John didn't mention is that the budget change bill still included a provision to have the state sponsor a conference on illegal dumping, so it's not on Alameda. And I did present at the Alameda conference. And I also got re-voted on as chair of the Illegal Dumping Technical Advisory Committee on behalf of the ESJPA, so we'll keep plugging along with that. For the embedded batteries, there's a workshop coming up on the 17th. Also one on the, so that's for the embedded battery products. So those were products that have embedded batteries are being assessed a fee as of January 1st. And the list of items that are covered on that still continues to grow. There's thousands of products on that list. I've talked to a few of the e-waste processors now. So I encourage you to reach out to your e-waste ones to see if they're including reimbursement or at least no cost for covered battery embedded products. One of the ones I work with is they're itemizing it on the invoice as no charge for those. And the amount of products out there are thousands, so they're starting to increase on that. I heard of one vendor that is only going to include program materials that are over 5 pounds. So not everything will be covered. Meanwhile, people are paying into the program for every product they buy. That's.
And Ted's got something, I think, to.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to highlight to everybody who's not involved in the illegal dumping community. Y'all should know Larry's just done a great job over the last few years. He keeps getting reelected as chair, but has essentially organized those who are interested in a way that has really moved the whole conversation forward. And I'd say that's been instrumental in, say, adding the language to the budget that CalRecycle might actually take on the annual conference. But of course, the reason why I'm talking about this is illegal dumping is near and dear to everybody's heart who doesn't have mandatory collection. We all have challenges with it and strategies, and we really have some of the best knowledge bases of folks dealing with this issue. And anyway, it knits us all together, and I really appreciate Larry's years of effort on that, and we all should be proud of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, thanks for Ted. Let's see. Yeah, so I encourage you to check with your vendors on e-waste to make sure that you're at least getting no charge or reimbursement for things that are being paid into a program. You should not be paying for disposal of something that's already covered. And on the reverse side, the loose batteries, the responsible battery program has a workshop on the 16th coming up, further defining the regulations on how the stewardship program is going to work. But eventually, the idea is that every jurisdiction will have a number of centers where you can drop off batteries for free. So all the batteries you're collecting now will be paid for, other than the larger capacity batteries and a few other exemptions. So batteries are a big part of what the household hazardous waste programs collect. It's find them in the solid waste stream. And so this program will be paying for that. So hopefully reducing the cost that you pay. Textile stewardship, they also have a workshop coming up on August 13th. And there's also a deadline for the producers to register on July 1st. And so we had Land Bell in here before. They're going to be the producer responsibility organization that was approved. We'll probably add them to our regular list of stewardship programs to talk about that program. But that'll provide a lot of managing of the textiles in your jurisdictions. And so hopefully that'll deal with a lot of the materials that you're dealing with now that just go into landfill because there's no options. And another one we added on there, this is our last meeting before your electronic annual reports are due in August 1st. So again, that's your own report card you're reporting yourself on to see how well you're doing. Make sure you spend the time to fill that out and go get all the information in there because Cal Recycle does review that. And any questions, you can work with your local assistant staff on it. But definitely take the time to look at that. Used oil program, the new oil payment program cycle is due for June 30th. I've been looking at the list. A number of our jurisdictions haven't participated in that before, so we'll have to be talking to them, see if they need help. It's a fairly simple process to do, and each county is guaranteed $10,000 for that to pay for oil management. So definitely should be participating in that. Eric covered the paint recovery program. Still waiting on final regulations to know what's in, what's out.
And then Larry, before you move on, just there was a note from Veronica in the chat just saying hopefully SB 501 is also successful with the medium format batteries. Is that also included or?
Yeah, that'll be adding that to the battery program for the larger batteries, the electric vehicle batteries, the scooter batteries that are showing up in the waste streams. And they're the ones that are more prone to cause fires. So we're trying to get those added in there.
Perfect.
There's some issues.
Very good.
Getting that
Thank
through.
you. Okay.
Bigger item. Well, I think Air Board, Stacy's
Yes.
turn, and then I'll take over again.
Yeah, so advanced clean fleets, the Air Board was mandated by a bill a few years ago to go back and make some tweaks to advanced clean fleets. And in their tweaks to advanced clean fleets, in the last 15-day comment period, or public comment period, and 15-day comment periods at CARB are really only supposed to be for just like minor things. It's not supposed to be anything major, but they made a few minor tweaks that do some major things, which includes, and probably the biggest thing, extending the program to fleets that contract with local governments and other public agencies. So if you are a solid waste vehicle fleet, this is a very creative way that they have figured out to go around the EPA waiver, federal waiver process to include those fleets in these regulations, even though EPA told them no. So it's a way for them to get around their no. We have been actively engaged in advocacy on this. We're working not only with the solid waste hauling industry, but also other local governments. So we actually signed on to 2 different coalition letters that both made really good points. And then filed another letter last week with our local government partners on this. And we also had a meeting with CARB Chair Lauren Sanchez where we brought this issue up about a month ago, I'd say. So we are actively trying to keep this from happening. I don't know how successful it will be because usually when CARB wants to do something, they do it. So a couple weeks ago, they just gave big breaks to oil companies on cap and trade. But anyway, that was editorial. We will continue to engage on this, advocate on this, and work with our partners on this, but just something to be on the lookout for, that your solid waste haulers are not happy about this. And should it be adopted, I wouldn't be surprised to see some legal action come out of it. So that's what I have on advanced clean fleets. Larry?
Okay, a fun one. The Air Resources Board also adopted the regulations on landfill methane testing. I have not seen and noticed that OAL's adopted them yet, but it's pretty certain that they will be adopted. This is going to be a significant cost to landfills. And even if you don't have your own landfill and you're using somebody else's, you can be expected that the landfills will be reaching out with cost increases for this because the implementation date is January 1st. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this for that. But yeah, so check with your landfills, your contractors that have the landfill contracts, because it will be costing landfills a lot of money. If you're exempt before on the 450,000 tons, that still holds. If you're an active landfill, if you're approaching that 450,000 tons waste in place magic number, we should talk, because once you cross that threshold, you're going to have to be in full compliance with the gas monitoring program and installation of gas system, which will be very, very expensive. So again, one of the things we looked at with our zero waste plan was extending life of landfills for that. So reach out to your landfill folks. Some of the major highlights of this. So one of the big successes we had was that you're going to be allowed 120 hours of downtime for your landfill gas system. Once you exceed that, you're going to be in violation. And we did have success that if there's a catastrophic event, like a wildfire destroys your gas system, or somebody takes out a power pole and you have no power, that you still have to count those hours of downtime. But they'll have a process where you'll be able to mark that these should not be included in that, and then they'll basically evaluate that. So make sure you track that information. If you have any downtime whatsoever, if it's due to unforeseen circumstance beyond your control, make sure that gets logged in the report. One of the major disappointing things is there's a policy they've had that they put in regulation now, that if the inspector shows up, either the local air district or the state shows up at your landfill, and they see something wrong, it's an automatic violation. You can try to contest it, but it's going to be a violation, even if it's something that you're working on or fixing at the time. So that's a big change in the process and getting violations. They kept the temperature threshold. So if your landfill gas well monitoring is over 130 degrees for more than 60 days, you're going to be into a process of doing evaluations, cover integrity testing, and other things. And that's where the cost will show up, because many landfill wells do show up over 131 degrees. If you go over the 145, then it's a full-blown compliance evaluation that you're going to be doing, component leak tests and other things that are going to be necessary. There's going to be additional reports that are going to require. The component leak monitoring plan for your gas system was due by July 1st, 2027. So a lot of these are spelled out in the packet. There's a slide presentation that Pat Sullivan did from SCS Engineers that really laid out what's going to be happening with that regulations. So take that packet, reach out to your landfill engineering folks that are doing your gas stuff, and make sure that they're watching the stuff and they know what it's going to be, because you're going to need to adjust your budgets to account for those cost increases. So it's coming. Similarly, a little bit further time frame out is a landfill emission monitoring. This is the toxic hotspots. And the order of magnitude of cost of this is going to be a lot more than the landfill methane ones. This is the one I mentioned before, where they're going to be requiring some landfills to test for various other constituents that don't always get tested for. And then there is ability to do pool testing. So we're looking at putting that together, because between ESJPA, RCRC, and a few other local governments, there's a lot of landfills. And so if we can share the cost of that, millions of dollars of testing, it'll be a lot easier. So exactly how that'll work will be discussions over the next few months. So stay tuned. We'll have more of an update by next time. DTSC, I lost count of how many people called with letters that they got that they owe a fine for being late on their EVQ testing. This was something that was unforeseen, where you may have had numbers many, many years ago, EPID numbers, that were not looked at, that you may not even known they were there. They were still in the system, and the fact they were in the system, even if you no longer used them, even if you're exempt from the fee, you still have to pay the fine. So there's literally hundreds of dollars that jurisdictions are paying for those numbers. It's probably statewide well in the tens of thousands of dollars that DTSC is getting in fines for those late numbers. And make sure you get those deactivated in there. That'll be part of the process. But I helped a few jurisdictions with that. I did the webinars. You'll have to be tracking that information again, because we'll have to be submitting all the information for the next round of EVQs next year in the spring. So I don't know if there's any questions on that or how many people got a letter that I don't know about, but
We got a letter.
yeah, there's a few.
We did. And then, and we agreed to pay the fine, but we haven't seen a bill.
Oh,
Yeah, one of our counties is contesting it. I don't know what that does to the fine. If you try to pay the fine and try to get your money back later, I'm not sure that'll happen, but every 15 days, the fine goes up. So they increase it exponentially. And it could be, even if you're an exempt facility, you could end up, if you ignore that, you could be paying $1,000 in fines for that.
So we got invoiced for the fines, but I tried to get a W-9 from DTSC because my county hasn't paid DTSC in several years, so they fell off. And I sent a second email to their finance folks. Haven't heard anything. I don't know if you have any other contacts at DTSC that can get a W-9. If we don't get it,
right?
Then we can't pay them. I mean, so it's like we just
Yeah.
go on and coming up on the end of fiscal year.
Well, that's a new one.
But it's real.
John and I have a call with him this afternoon, but we only have half an hour. I don't know if that'll be,
Okay,
maybe I can
fine.
throw it in at
I'll-
the end.
I'll keep bugging them and see. The other one is I emailed you a response that I got from DTSC. So I don't know if that was helpful. I didn't know what to take from that, but if it's deactivated, then we don't report. And it stays deactivated if we don't need it, so we don't do anything.
We should not have to do anything.
We shouldn't have to do anything. Okay, perfect.
They're supposed to deactivate it with that if it hadn't been used.
Okay.
But so we'll probably repeat that whole discussion of what to do next later in the year before the March deadline. Safer consumer products, DTSC is moving on that program. They started rulemaking to add certain acids and bases, even something simple as sodium hypochlorite, otherwise known as bleach, is going to be on the safer consumer product list if the regulations go through, which means that the producers are going to have to justify why they have that in the product. So ammonium hydroxide is on there. The regular household ammonia is on the list. So this should be an interesting development. They're also starting a new process to look at banning products with hydrofluoric acid. If you haven't dealt with that, that's one of the more nasty acids out there. And it's in a number of wheel cleaners and glass cleaners. What does a nice etching on glass. But it's a very nasty chemical. If you get it spilled on your skin, it can actually destroy your bone. So it's definitely something that shouldn't be out there in the common usage, but it has. That's it for DTSC. Under grants, we've essentially completed our task for the Rules Are Always plan. We had a little wrinkle at the end where Cal Recycle wanted us to change the name and a lot of the content. So we had
The entire format.
the whole format of that. It's no longer a zero waste plan. Even it's now the Rural Communities Material Management Strategies. And so that was quite an experience. And a lot of our staff here in-house really put a lot of work into that. If you ever tried to reorganize a 100-page document with all these details and all these tables, it was quite a feat. And
Yeah, it
Jason,
was.
Darren, and
I just
Eric.
want to commend Larry too for he really coordinated the daily effort on that contract, as well as Eric Will, Jason Hansen, and Darren Morgan on our staff. Everybody did an amazing job. I thought that not even for the time constraints, but especially with the time constraints and the last minute monkey wrenches that we got, the document turned out, it's something we're really proud of. So I wanted to make sure everybody,
Can we
they did
see
an
it?
amazing job. Not yet. So it's not our document. We're just under contract. It is Cal Recycle's document. This was very clear from the beginning. We're expecting that it will get released within the next, month to month and a half, right? June 30th was kind of the deadline for having it be final.
So
And
there's no comment period.
No.
Nope.
It's a grant that Cal Recycle received from federal EPA.
Yeah. And since it's a
Right.
report, like a policy and not a regulation or something, it's not subject to the Administrative Procedures Act.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is,
Yeah.
we're quite proud of it. There's a lot of good information in there on what it means to be rural. We pulled in all kinds of statistics in there, down to how many dead animals show up at landfills.
Ooh, yeah.
Which
That's
was,
real.
that was quite fun to talk about. Dead animal recycling with Cow Recycle was something they'd never heard of before.
Yeah, something they really hadn't delved into.
But they are compostable, and some of our counties may look at doing things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of good information in there, and hopefully we can expand that data to other 26 counties. The geo map we put together, I showed before, was really impressive.
It's real.
And so we don't know what the final product will look like. I expect they'll make some changes to it. But even that, at hopefully some point that we'll be able to show you the work that we did, no matter what the final product looks like. But yeah, there was a lot of good information in there. And appreciated a lot of the folks we talked to and the information we got.
So are we not to call it the zero waste plan anymore?
It's not,
It
no, it's
changed.
officially named something different. So the next time we put it on the agenda, we'll have to
Okay.
put the correct name, but I can't remember it most of the time.
It had rural management.
It
or
doesn't have a
something.
good acronym. It's
Oh.
not easy to remember. Rural materials management
strategies. Yeah.
But I
Rural
do remember
communities.
when the zero waste came out, though, we kind of scratched our heads about that too, because we're like, what does that mean? So,
It's probably more appropriate to what's actually feasible
yeah.
in our
Which is
rural
smart.
communities, but we,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but we put in everything we could think of, and I know there's things we forgot. So we even got to just deal with the wildfire area issues. Stacy had a lot of fun with that part.
I did. It's my wheelhouse.
So that one's done. So checks in the mail soon, I hope. A little cash infusion for ESJPA.
Yep.
Ongoing grants, we're still working on our tire amnesty. And for those of you that may have gotten an extension on TA7, that's going to be up in September. And so we actually managed to spend all of our money for TA7. So now we're into TA8 for the 3 counties. Let's see, we're also working on the Mariposa County Fairs coming up soon. So working on that one. We're also going to be applying for the OPP 17 on behalf of the Alpine, Mariposa, Calusa, the same ones we've been doing. But everybody should make sure that you apply for that. Greenhouse gas calculator, that's working on that, especially with Ted's efforts, and Blue Strike, they've been working on that effort. A number of our counties, Tuolumne, Amador, also have participated in that. I got a little sidetracked with the material management strategies plan. So I'll get back on track with helping that out. The HHW grants, very disappointing news. Cow Recycle made a decision that those that did not receive funding the last round are going to get the money for this year. So there will be no request for HHW grants. They announced that at the information exchange. So
What?
you'll have to wait till next year if you want to apply for an HHW grant.
A whole year?
Yep. They usually have about $1 million that they set aside for that, but they had enough people that did not get funded last time. They made that decision. Don't remember that coming up in a public forum for discussion, but a little bit late now.
Wow, okay.
And Melissa covered most of the highlights of the Cow Recycle meetings. Keep watching those. One regulatory announcement that the water board did to us again. They do this every time we have a meeting, because we didn't put it on the agenda. But they did announce that their WDR fees, there'll be a slight increase for next year, 0.8%. So you can add that to your budget for your WDR fees for the landfill. That'll most likely get approved. I don't know of any time it's ever been denied. So toward the end of the year, you should be getting a bill for that, or the beginning of next year for those fees, but a slight increase for them, for landfills.
Yeah, Ted.
Yeah, just noting that our Regional Water Quality Control Board seems to be grappling with the fact that they have reduced staff and a lot of closed landfills to manage. And so they're specifically looking at how they can step back from a lot of the ongoing complicated, nuanced facility-specific requirements that they've had under the waste discharge requirements permits. So they're looking to standardize that. I don't know if any other regional water quality control boards are looking at that, but I'm really refreshed to see that approach, and it wouldn't surprise me if other regional boards weren't looking at that as well.
Did they send you anything in writing saying that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I have a letter I could forward you along.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. We do have one county, they're questioning whether it's over the limits. That's for Air Board, actually. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see because there are a lot of closed landfills. There's actually thousands of closed landfills that they're under review.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
That's about it.
A little bit over.
Not bad. We didn't do bad. And then in the chat there was a message for, I couldn't tell who it's from, but it says to get the W-9. There's an email address. Have you already been, the county?
Yeah, it was the one that was on DTSC's website.
Okay,
And then I
it's the
emailed
same.
them a second time and haven't heard any response.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just that was thrown in the chat. I want to make sure I threw that out there. So, okay. And then the Cal Recycle meeting stuff's always in our packet. And then the article of interest are there. Everybody's always welcome to contact Stacy if you have an idea that you would like to share from your county. And I think we can adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, I will just note that we have a very interesting tag session this afternoon, so please stick around for it. We are going to have some folks from Cal Recycle, or not Cal Recycle, Cal Fire, and others here to talk about the use of air curtain burners. So I'm not sure, Larry, if we're having the manure discussion or not. We may be having a manure discussion at 1. If we don't, then we may not start tag till 1:30. I'll send out an update to everyone.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned. Will that tag, are the tags recorded at all?
We will record the tag, yes.
Because I'm totally interested,
Neil
but I
will be
can't
talking to
stay.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Stay tuned for when
Thank
tag
you.
starts. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Good
you,
meeting.
everyone.
So 1 o'clock or 1:30 for reconvening.
I'll email you and let you know or text you.
Sweet. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ted.
Leave webinar.